Happening now on Grid Tonight, there's been a change at the top of NASCAR. Why is Steve Phelps stepping down at the end of the month? And two tragedies rocked the NASCAR community. They're on our 2-week winter break. How is everyone going to move forward from all the heartbreak that the NASCAR world has experienced since we took our leave for the holiday? Hello to all of our viewers watching here in the United States and around the world. Welcome to Grid Tonight, your weekly motorsports news program, our first show of the year 2026. I'm Kobe Lambert, and with me are me from JB Motorsports and Matt White from Grid Endurance Performance Index. Throughout the show, leave your comments and questions in the chat for us to display, and visit gridnetworktv.com for our latest content. And before I throw it over to you, we got comment in the chat room from Adam Limmer saying Happy New Year to Kobe. Well, we were going to have Josh, but he's unfortunately not here tonight, but we'll substitute Omi and then Matt as well. And Adam says, bring on the Chili Bowl. Yes, we have that coming up. A lot of NASCAR flavor going to be in Tulsa, Oklahoma, trying to win a golden drill like the Kyle Larson. So Sheldon Creed's going to be there. Got the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series champion. Jesse Love is going to be at Chili Bowl as well. Always an exciting time. Then we got the Rolex 24 in just a few weeks' time. And then at the very start of February, the Cookout Clash at Bowman Gray and the Daytona 500. Yes, Adam, very excited that it doesn't really feel like we have an off season anymore these days because I feel like the action just ended, but we're going to get going very shortly with a full year of motorsports, and it's really going to be here before we know it. And now, Omi, take it away with our top story this evening.
Yes, hello everyone. Here we go again then. More news coming your way in 2026, and let's get started. Deep breath then. Here we go for our top story. After fallout related to last month's antitrust trial, NASCAR Commissioner Steve Phelps is resigning from the position at the end of January. Phelps has been with NASCAR since 2005 and climbed the ladder in the last 2 decades to reach this level. He was promoted from president to commissioner in March 2025, so he'll only hold this role for 10 months. As the antitrust played out, Phelps lost the trust and confidence of fans and industry members alike when damaging text messages were revealed during the discovery phase. These messages from Phelps were derogatory remarks about team owner Richard Childress. Phelps referred to Childress as stupid redneck who owed his entire fortune to NASCAR and deserved to be taken out, back, and flogged. In addition, Phelps called Childress an idiot, clown, dinosaur, and malcontent. He and other executives also felt threatened by the SRX series, with Phelps texting, "Need to put a knife in this trash series." However, it was comments about Childress which ultimately led to Phelps' downfall as a NASCAR executive. Johnny Morris, the founder of CEO of Bass Pro Shops, who was also invested in NASCAR for so many years and a good friend of Childress, wrote an angry letter in defense of Childress. Morris was upset to see someone talking the way about his friend and basically called Phelps to resign from his job. Many believed the Morris letter was one of the turning points in the antitrust trial, which ultimately ended with NASCAR and the teams reaching a settlement. As some have noted, when both sides appeared outside of the courthouse on that day, Phelps was one of the key figures who wasn't standing with them. With his reputation shattered and frustration building, he will step aside as NASCAR works to rebuild any fractured relationships in the industry related to the antitrust trial. In a press release, NASCAR said they have no immediate plans to hire a new commissioner or seek outside leadership. So Phelps' responsibilities will be delegated to NASCAR President Steve O'Donnell and the executive leadership team. Phelps said, as a longtime race fan, it gives him immense pride to have served as NASCAR's first commissioner and leading the sport through so many incredible challenges during his tenure, and he plans to embark on new pursuits in sports and other industries, photo courtesy of NASCAR. Well, Matt, given the role Steve Phelps played in the antitrust trial, did his resignation feel inevitable, and was it the only way forward? Well, hello, Matt. Welcome to 2026, and nice new background as well.
Oh, thank you. It's there's a refresh behind me, as you could probably tell. Here in the Race Watch Lab. Happy New Year to you, Omi. Hello, and Happy New Year to Kobe and Adam in the chat and everyone else. Welcome to 2026. We hope it's not the last one after the things that have happened in world news this week. Steve Phelps, yes. I mean, short odds you would have got with this happening. I said, and I feel like we talked about this a little bit on our post-Christmas show when Tanner was with us, wrapping up the trial. I kind of thought this might not come until the spring. Kind of thought NASCAR would get themselves into a place behind the scenes, and maybe they have. And you've said, things are going to be changing. Steve O'Donnell's going to get more responsibility. His neck might also be on the line. We're not quite sure on that as well, going forward. But I thought NASCAR might get this new playoff system out in the open. Apparently, as we know, we're going to like it. Hi Ben, we're going to like it, and it's all done and just needs to be released to the world. I thought that would all be done, and then all of this behind the scenesy stuff would happen. But they've got in front of it, and Steve Phelps will be leaving his post in a couple of weeks' time at the end of the month here in January, just before, as Adam mentioned, the clash at Bowman Gray and of course the Daytona 500. Not surprising. As you say, the Johnny Morris letter and all of both the Morris letter and the Phelps texts really didn't just painted NASCAR in a terrible light, as we talked about before Christmas on our last show of the year and previous to that. So no real surprise at all that this has happened. As I say, I'm slightly surprised that it's happened already and that we didn't get into March, April before things had changed. But hopefully this is a good sign for NASCAR and they've got themselves already on the front foot. Happy New Year to you, Jason. We're going to get to Jim France in a moment. Don't you worry. And thank you for the investment. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed. And absolutely, we're going to get exactly onto that right now as well. So, with Phelps out the door, some people don't think it should stop there. At this point, we don't know if other NASCAR executives will step aside, but many fans want to see new voices in leadership since they lost confidence in the current ones as well. Jeff Gluck from The Athletic wrote that the NASCAR CEO Jim France should resign from his role, and there are people out there who agree with that. When France took the stand to testify, reporters in attendance said he couldn't really give a straight answer, and he continued to make things worse for himself and NASCAR's case by stating that he wasn't interested in making the charters permanent, although he ultimately ended up carving on that point in the settlement. With France overseeing the entirety of NASCAR, maybe it's time for the 81-year-old to let someone who's younger with fresh ideas to run the sport. In regards to Phelps' departure, France called the soon-to-be former commissioner one of NASCAR's most impactful leaders, who had some important accomplishments during his time, like leading NASCAR as the first sport to return on action during the COVID pandemic and adding new venues to the NASCAR schedule, such as the Clash at the LA Coliseum and Chicago Street Race. In a press release, a few more of Phelps' accomplishments were listed, expanding NASCAR's international footprint, securing the current media rights deal, NASCAR's landmark merger with ISC, and overseeing the launch of the new gen car. Now, Matt, should Jim France and other executives consider joining Phelps and stepping aside for new voices in leadership? And does this damage done to Phelps' reputation outweigh his accomplishments over his time in NASCAR?
Well, I think there's certainly 3 bullets in the chamber here. We've lost Phelps, so there's only O'Donnell and France of the big, right at the very top of the tree here that need to be shuffled along. Shoveled, Alex Brundle might say, as one of his favourite phrases on the F2 commentaries. Shoveled aside. So, I mean, I mentioned this at our last show of last year. It's a bit like WWE over the last year with all the Vince McMahon stuff. He's been kind of shuffled off and away, and now they've gone in and changed things and a younger audience and younger, guys behind the scenes and everything else. This kind of feels like NASCAR's version of that, where we could see a big structural change behind the scenes and you feel, with all the streaming platforms and content everywhere and all of social media and everything else, it's a real time for NASCAR to make a big change in how they do things top down. Of course, there's going to be, and there all has much been, debate over the playoff system, and there will still be that to come in a couple of weeks when we get what we're going to get for this year and going forward. There's always going to be people that are, against NASCAR and have been for some time. NASCAR died with Dale Sr. and I've not watched since Jeff Gordon retired, and all these people that still talk about it, even though they apparently don't watch. But you've got to get them back on side, and the whole of this trial has just, tarred and feathered the NASCAR upstairs, and that has shown in what we've had out from everybody that covered the trial over those couple of weeks before Christmas. So big changes afoot. I was hopeful that we would get to 2026 and not be talking about this, because as regular viewers will know, I really wasn't a fan of all of this, and it never should have come to it. But we had to go through the rigor with it. And our first story of the new year is the continual NASCAR antitrust trial. So more things to come on the pipeline on this one. That is for sure. Adam says Steve O'Donnell and Jim France also need to go, and that kind of agrees with what I've said. It's time for NASCAR to take a look inside itself and come out with a fresh start over the next couple of years. Amber says the old clown emoji for the NASCAR leadership as well.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, I think everyone is in agreement pretty much in terms of what should happen when it comes to that. Now, there were other newses, and unfortunately tragic ones, that also headlined our winter break as well. Now, we have two sad stories, as I mentioned, that occurred during our 2-week holiday break that we need to report on. Our final show of 2025 took place on Wednesday, December 17th. And little did we know, the very next day, on Thursday, December 18th, turned out to be a dark day for the NASCAR community. Around 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time, there was an awful plane crash at the Statesville Regional Airport in North Carolina. People with ties to NASCAR commonly use this airport, so there were immediate concerns as the news reached a larger audience. Sadly, there wasn't any survivors from the plane crash, as we learned that it claimed the life of NASCAR legend and future Hall of Famer Greg Biffle. At age 55, Biffle died in this tragedy, but he wasn't the only one, as his family and others were on board at the time of the plane crash. Biffle's wife, Christiana, son, Ryder, and daughter, Emma, also passed away alongside a man named Craig Wadsworth, plus a father and son duo of Dennis Dutton and Jack Dutton. One day after the plane crash, investigators from the National Transportation Safety Board arrived from Washington, D.C. to investigate the fatal crash of the Casina 550 plane. They arrived at the scene in Statesville to document the wreckage, collect evidence, and interview witnesses. According to the press release from NTSB, a preliminary report is expected to be released within 30 days of the incident. The initial report will contain factual information gathered during the first phase of the investigation. However, a final report will be issued in the next 12 to 24 months with profitable cause of the crash and any contributing factors. The plane's cockpit voice recorder was recovered in the wreckage, so that's been sent back to the lab in Washington for analysis. We also received other information from the NTSB, which said the plane was in flight for about 10 minutes before it crashed just short of the runway, after the plane turned around 5 minutes and headed back to the airport. The NTSB also confirmed that someone on the plane sent a text message to a family member saying emergency landing. This came after people reported that the mother of Christiana Biffle told them that her daughter sent her a message from the plane that said, "We're in trouble." At the time of the incident, Biffle, his family, and others on board were flying to Florida to meet up with Biffle's close friend, YouTuber turned race car driver, Garrett Mitchell, aka Cletus McFarland. For more information, please check out the two links in our video description, graphic courtesy of NASCAR. Now, this was the statement from NASCAR themselves. NASCAR is devastated by the tragic loss of Greg Biffle, his wife Christiana, daughter Emma, son Ryder, Craig Radsworth, and Dennis and Jack Dutton in a fatal plane crash. Greg was more than a champion driver. He was a beloved member of the NASCAR community, a fierce competitor, and a friend to so many. His passion for racing, his integrity, and his commitment to fans and fellow competitors alike made a lasting impact on the sport. On the track, Greg's talent and tenacity earned him championships in the NASCAR Xfinity Series and NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, as well as numerous wins and accolades in the NASCAR Cup Series. Beyond his racing career, he gave himself of the betterment of our community. Most notably, Greg spent countless hours of his time helping the citizens of North Carolina during the disasters that followed Hurricane Helene. His tireless work saved lives. Our thoughts and deepest condolences go out to Greg's entire family, friends, and all those who were touched by his life. Now, this was the statement that came from RFK Racing. All of us at RFK Racing are devastated by the heartbreaking news involving the Biffle family. Greg Biffle has long been a cherished member of our racing family. As a person, family man, and driver, his accomplishments helped form a cornerstone of our organization. We extend our deepest condolences to the Biffle family and to all of their loved ones and friends during this difficult time. Now, next up, we've got Jack Rush's statement, which you can see on screen now. The entire Charlotte sports community has suffered a tremendous loss. The tragic accident involving Greg Biffle and his family today is incredibly heartbreaking. I have lost a dear friend and a partner in our NASCAR program. His contributions to our race team over the years are immeasurable. My condolences are with all those who loved and knew Greg and his family. Now, Brad Keselowski also spoke out after the incident in a statement. He mentioned that I am heartbroken by the news involving the Biffle family. I had the privilege of racing alongside Greg for many years, and like so many in our sport, I gained deep respect for him, not only as a champion of the racetrack, but as a competitor who helped define an era of NASCAR. His impact on the Rouge Feltre Keselowski Racing runs deep, and his accomplishments helped lay a foundation we continue to build upon today. My thoughts and that of the entire organization are with the Biffle family and everyone close to them as they navigate this tremendously difficult time. And finally, we've got the statement from Ford Racing. We are devastated by the loss of our dear friend, his family, and friends that were on the plane with him this morning. Greg was not only a champion driver, he was a great husband, father, son, and friend who did whatever he could to support his community and those associated with NASCAR. He'll forever be a part of the Ford family. Our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone touched by this tragedy. Matt, we've had 2 weeks to digest this awful situation. How stunned and saddened were you 2 Thursdays ago when you learned that Greg Biffle and his family were killed in that plane crash?
Well, I mean, it's just tragic and awful, isn't it? I mean, what can you say that we haven't already heard from kind of all the statements that you've read out there, Omi, and everybody else that's penned their thoughts on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere else over the last couple of weeks, and especially those couple of days after the terrible events of that Thursday prior to Christmas. Any time of the year, it would be awful, tragic, and all the rest of it. But just before Christmas, just terrible. And NASCAR's long and torrid history, let's say, with light aircraft, unfortunately, continues, which is not a sentence I ever thought I'd say. Just terrible for the whole of the Biffle clan, all the RFK team. If they get a win early on in the season, it's going to be an emotional one. If Brad Keselowski pulls a win off in the 500, goodness me, you can only imagine who he's going to be dedicating the car to as soon as he gets out. Dedicating to win to, sorry. But yeah, just absolutely terrible. And not much more to say than what you've read out and that's already been said. Just an absolutely tragic off season, as Jason said. We're going to get to part 2 of it, Jason, in a moment. But the whole Greg Biffle, the whole family and friends and everything's just terrible.
Yeah, absolutely horrible. I remember JB bringing us the news at JB Motorsports in our group chat as well. And yeah, it's been an absolutely tragic off season, as Jason mentioned, and we'll continue to dive more into that as well. Okay, well, next Friday, January 16th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, there will be a public in remembrance service to honor Biffle and the other 6 victims. This event will take place at the Bojangles Coliseum in Charlotte, North Carolina. The service will be open to the public and live streamed on NASCAR.com, NASCAR Facebook, and the NASCAR channel as well, along with the YouTube. In a few weeks, we'll see Court Motorsport honor Biffle in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge season opener at Daytona International Speedway with this throwback livery that you can see. Evan Slater and Ray Mason will drive the number 60 Ford Mustang GT4 in the GS class with this livery similar to Biffle's number 60 Rouge Ford from his days in what was then called the Busch Series, graphic courtesy of IMSA. Now looking at Biffle's career, he was one of NASCAR's 75 greatest drivers, and many believe that he will be inducted into the Hall of Fame in the future. In 2000, Biffle won the Craftsman Truck Series title and took home the 2002 championship in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. He competed in the Cup Series full-time from 2003 to 2006. 16 and won 19 races at the top level of NASCAR. However, in 2022, Biffle returned to the Cup Series, competing in 5 races for the NY Racing team, where you also saw him make a one-off start in the Truck Series with Kyle Busch Motorsport back in 2019, which ended in a trip to victory lane at Texas Motor Speedway. In the last couple of years, Biffle made a few starts in the ARCA West, with our own Joe Samaniego witnessing his final professional race of Biffle's career last August at Portland International Raceway. In 2024, Biffle was named the recipient of the NMPA Myers Brothers Awards for his efforts in helping people in Western North Carolina after Hurricane Helene destroyed the mountain region of the state. Biffle made national headlines by flying his helicopter deep into the North Carolina mountains to help people in need, and many labeled him as a hero. Despite having a successful career in NASCAR, Biffle started to become known for what he did to help people rather than anything he ever accomplished on the track over the years. His second act became more powerful and impactful than his first act behind the wheel. Well, Matt, what will you remember the most from Biffle's racing career, and what does it say about him as a person that many in North Carolina started to view him as a humanitarian over being a NASCAR driver?
Yeah, I'll go down as a state hero in North Carolina. The spread of this story has hit that part of the world very hard. On the track, I mean, he was sensational at times. In my coming to NASCAR, as many people know, I came into the sport about 2007, and Roush was Biff, Matt Kenseth, and Carl Edwards. Biffle always felt like the third man in that team to me in those days, but he certainly won, as you said, a fair amount of races. And that truck win at Texas a few years back, when just randomly out of the blue, came to run for Kyle Busch's team and won. And Kyle was one of the many people that put out a very touching tribute to him in the days after the incident. So that was great. And yeah, as you say, he's in the NASCAR 75 list, so he'll go down as one of the greats, and fully expect, as soon as NASCAR can get him into the Hall of Fame, I'm sure we'll see him there over the next couple of years. That is fairly certain, because all that stuff he did through Hurricane Helene, and that's the thing, isn't it? You go through all of that with Greg, flying his helicopter around and doing the humanitarian thing and helping people out with food, water supplies, etc., and then what happened on that Thursday before Christmas in an aeroplane with his family by his side is just, it doesn't even bear thinking about. So tragic loss to the whole of the NASCAR community. But there was a picture posted somewhere, I can't remember who it was now, because it was 2 weeks ago, of Greg in that 16 3M Ford, completely sideways, coming out the corner. I think it was Michigan, coming out of turn 2 at Michigan, absolutely broadside But yes, that is proper. Granted, it was in a COT car, and we know a lot of people don't like the COT, but that was Biff, and he was, as soon as every time he could get flat out, then he would be doing that, and it's just absolutely tragic that, as I said, the way that he spent that last little chapter of his career, and then to die in a plane accident is just awful, absolutely awful.
Yeah, and we have a comment here coming from Adam as well. What Greg Biffle did for victims of the Hurricane Helen, as we mentioned, here in North Carolina, was outstanding. Delivered supplies to the people that needed them. It was a sad story indeed.
And Adam is a North Carolina native, as our good friend Mr. Matthew Owens is as well. So it has touched that whole, and and North Carolina, people that don't know, North Carolina is NASCAR through and through in that part of the world. So it has touched everybody. I was at lunch at my job, Adam says, when I heard about Greg Biffle's passing, still shocking to this day. Yeah, you said, JB alerted you in the JB chat. I think it was, I can't remember if it was Tanner or Ben that posted something in, or it might have even been Kobe that posted it in the grid Slack chat on the day. And I was like, this doesn't look good if it's NASCAR related. So turned out to be the case. So terrible all round, and rest in peace, Greg Biffle.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. All of our thoughts go to everyone involved in that, and we send our condolences to everyone who is grieving at this moment in time. And unfortunately, well, we've got more tragic news, as we mentioned, to report to you as well. So another tragedy occurred in the final days, this was, of 2025. So on the evening of Sunday, December 28th, there was a house fire in the Gaston County, North Carolina. According to a press release from Gaston County Emergency Management and Services, firefighters were dispatched at 6:19 p.m. Eastern Time and arrived at the scene of the house fire at 6:27 p.m. The two-story house was mostly engulfed in flames, which was showing through the entire attic. The two residents were able to make it outside of the burning house. 75-year-old Dennis Hamlin and 69-year-old Mary Lou Hamlin, the parents of NASCAR Cup Series star Denny Hamlin. Gaston County officials said the Hamlins suffered catastrophic injuries while escaping the fire, and both were transported to the Caramont Regional Medical Center. Sadly, Dennis Hamlin died from his injuries and suffered in the fire at the hospital, while Mary Lou Hamlin was transferred to the Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist Burn Center in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, for extensive treatment. Due to the extent of the fire and resulting in structural collapse, the cause is currently undetermined and the investigation is ongoing. The passing of Denny Hamlin was absolutely heartbreaking, and we knew how much he meant to his son, Denny Hamlin. During his 2025 Cup Series playoff run, Denny Hamlin admitted that his father was terminally ill and didn't have much time left to live. So he wanted to win the championship, since it was likely his father's last chance to see him win it. After Denny won his 60th career Cup Series race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway last fall, we saw him get super emotional to achieve that milestone with his dad on his mind. Then we witnessed Denny Hamlin make the championship four again and dominate the season finale, only to lose out heartbreakingly after a late race pit stop and restart propelled Kyle Larson to his second title. Denny was heartbroken because he knew that his dad's last chance to see him win a title. So in the final stretch of 2025, Denny Hamlin became a central figure in Denny's story, as he made many personal sacrifices to help Denny make it to NASCAR. In the NASCAR Full Speed docuseries, we heard the story of Michael Jordan giving Dennis a cigarette to smoke when Denny became a Cup Series champion. Dennis said that he'd give up everything he owed to make what happened for his son. Photo courtesy of the Hamlin family, and links related to this story are in the video description below. This is what Denny Hamlin had to say on social media. Thank you to everyone who has reached out with condolences on my father's passing. My mother continues to improve, and our family truly appreciates the outpouring of support and the respect of our privacy at this time. NASCAR had to say NASCAR extends its deepest condolences to Denny Hamlin and the entire Hamlin family. Dennis Hamlin instilled a love of racing in his son and sacrificed greatly to develop Denny into a world-class talent in the sport. We also continue to offer our thoughts and prayers to Denny's mother, Mary Lou, and hope for her full recovery. And then we also had Joe Gibbs Racing say on social media, please join us all at Joe Gibbs Racing in praying for Denny Hamlin, his family, and his mother. We appreciate the outpouring of support. And also everyone at the 23XI Racing is deeply saddened by the tragic news concerning the Hamlin family. We extend our deepest condolences to Denny and the entire Hamlin family during this difficult time. Our thoughts and prayers remain with the family and his mum. Matt, well, what's your reactions to this heartbreaking tragedy?
Again, that's the word, isn't it? Absolutely heartbreaking. Again, as I said about the Biffle thing, Christmas time, it shouldn't make any difference to any other time of the year, but just absolutely awful. And for all the things that family unit has been through in 2025, you mentioned the end of the championship run at Phoenix, and then all the court case stuff, of course, which we started the show with previously. I mean, I don't know what to say. What can you say? I don't expect to see or hear from Denny Hamlin for all of the rest of this off season. There'll be some pre-season quotes, I'm sure, but they'll not be said by him. They'll be packaged together by both 23XI and Joe Gibbs on his behalf. I don't think we'll hear him speak to the media for a while. I heard, and I'm not sure if this is true or not, and hopefully someone watching can clarify this. The date that this happened, I again preface this, I don't know if it's true, was his Denny's wedding anniversary. So I mean, what a way to end the year for Denny Hamlin, of all of the stuff that's happened over the last, what are we now, first weekend of January, the last 2 months, 9 weeks since the Phoenix weekend. It's just, you've got to take your heart out and give it to him, because I mean, what an awful time that family has been through, as we talked about with the Biffles. Is just, yeah, tragic. Let's hope, because I said this a few times through the year when Kobe was finishing off his news segment with the passing of people, let's hope that we don't have another year of all the stuff that we've had over this little while in the off season, because it's just absolutely awful. And again, thoughts go out to everyone at Gibbs, everyone at 23XI, Michael Jordan, everybody that's connected to the Hamlin clan, because again, just unimaginably awful.
Yeah, it was absolutely tragic and really, really sad and really tragic news that came through. Jason saying, I hope Denny wins the Daytona 500. Well, that would be quite the way for this year to go for him, and would definitely be dedicated to his father, the little owl, as well. Jack saying December was easily one of the worst months I've ever been through as a NASCAR fan. And yeah, it all kind of just happened. It all just came at once, during which, as you said, it's meant to be a time anyway of celebration, etc. But for it to happen anytime is bad, but especially during the period that it did, and also on the wedding anniversary of the Denny's parents' wedding anniversary.
Denny's parents, yeah, sorry, I got that wrong. I thought it was Denny's. It was the parents' wedding anniversary. So yeah, just awful. And Happy New Year, Jack. Thanks for dropping your comment in. And he continues, he's saying, this is a comment towards Jason. I'm rooting for him to win the Brickyard. He has 3 Daytona 500 wins already. He doesn't have the Brickyard. And he was, if you listen to Denny throughout the season last year on the podcast and stuff, he was really pushing to try and get that win at Indianapolis last year. Both, anything this year that's connected to either Denny winning or anything that's connected to the Biffle and Roush, Fenway, Keselowski, all that sort of stuff is going to be extremely emotional indeed.
Yeah, Absolutely. Well, everyone at Grid Network would like to send our deepest condolences to family, friends, and everyone who is suffering at this moment in time. Okay, well, next up, here is Matt White with the first Grid EPR update for 2026.
Let's bring back some good news, and that was racing cars on the track, because that has happened. I know it's been Christmas and New Year, but we have had some stuff, and it really kicks into gear, of course, this weekend, which we'll get to in a little while. But for 2026, the Grid Endurance Performance Index is back. Who will be knocking Ollie Caldwell off the mountain as the 2025 champion? The races have already begun to rank for the 2026 season, although it is only what is the date today? 7th. But we have included some of the races that happened towards the end of last year in the 26 ranking, as we do with the grid ranking, with Formula E, of course, with the Sao Paulo race happening before Christmas. More on Formula E in a moment when we get to pick a winner. But we have had some racing, which we can talk about, that starts into the 147 races that will count towards the Grid Endurance Performance Index. It is the biggest championship in the world that can be collated, I feel like. And we're putting it together again for 2026. And it started at the beginning of, well, the end of November, should I say, with the Sepang 12 Hours, which is now part of the Creventic 24H Series family. And that was won by the Origin Porsche team of Bo Yuang, Hong Li Yi, and Wei Lu in their number 87 Porsche 911 at Sepang just before Christmas. It wasn't the only race that happened at Sepang pre the end of the year, because the Asian Le Mans series kicked off pre-Christmas with 2 races at Sepang. Both of them won overall by the trio of Antonio Fuoco, Charles Malaysia, and Roberto Lacorte. The second race cut short, as you can see, by weather. The Saturday race went off without a hitch, but the Sunday race was stopped after, as you can see, an absolutely terrible but fairly predictable 4 o'clock rain shower at Sepang. We've seen those before, haven't we? If you're a Formula One or MotoGP fan. Cheslaw Racing Team coming home, though, with both victories. That sets them up nicely for the rest of the Asian Le Mans series, which happens in February, with 2 races at the Dubai Autodrome and 2 at Yas Marina. Talking of Yas Marina, that was the final race of 2025. The Golf 12 Hours, which doesn't have an edition in 26 because it's going to shift to the early part of 27, which is even more reason to include it in our 2026 ranking. A Mercedes victory, Adam Christodoulou, Denis Remenyenko, and former IndyCar star Mikhail Elishin piloting that Mercedes AMG GT3 to victory in the Golf 12 Hours. That was the weekend prior to Christmas. So 4 races on the board already for the 2026 EPI. The next one comes up this weekend, where we stay at Abu Dhabi, Yas Marina, for the Abu Dhabi 6 Hours, which is the precursor to the Dubai 24 Hours, which is next weekend. And then after that, it's the Rolex 24 at Daytona. Then it's the Bathurst 12 Hours. Those Asian Le Mans Series races that I talked about as well. It comes thick and fast for sports car racing fans at this time of the year. Even more reason to keep a check on the Grid Endurance Performance Index. As always, the week 1 standings will be on our first show in April, again to co-sign with the grid ranking as well for all of the other series that we cover. So that is how the Grid EPI has started off for 2026. We'll bring you the result and news from Abu Dhabi in this slot next week, hopefully after a much more upbeat and less somber show. Jason says beautiful photo of the cars in the rain. Yeah, that shot courtesy of the Asian Le Mans series, and that is how the race ended at Sepang. And no surprise there. I think they lost 40 minutes at the end of that race because of the weather, off the top of my head. So not good, but they did get a result, and they won't have, hopefully, rain to trouble them in Dubai and at Yas Marina come February. Time to hand over to Kobe, who's been sitting nice and patiently to give you some more stories from the Christmas break.
Thanks, Matt. Time for some more motorsports news from around the world. A few days before Christmas, Brad Keselowski suffered a broken leg during a skiing trip with his family. Keselowski underwent successful surgery, and his doctors expect him to make a quick and full recovery. The 2012 NASCAR Cup Series champion said he's grateful for the medical team. that took great care of him and the support system around him as he recovers from his injury. His focus is on the recovery process as he's motivated to get back to full strength in time for next month's Daytona 500. Photo and graphic courtesy of Keselowski and RFK Racing. Thomas Annunziata will drive in the ARCA Menards Series full-time this year. He'll drive the number 70 Toyota for Nitro Motorsports with sponsorship from JBL. Annunziata has already found success with Nitro after scoring victories together in the Trans Am Series T82 class and last year's ARCA race at Lime Rock Park. According to team owner Nick Tucker, due to the resources they're building within their ARCA program, he believes that Annunziata is poised to contend for the 2026 ARCA national title. Photo courtesy of Nitro Motorsports. Madeline Stewart has agreed to a multi-year program in IMSA with Porsche. This year, Stewart will compete in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge with Zabot Simpson Motorsport, driving a Porsche Cayman GT4 in year one of a 3-year deal. By 2028, the team hopes to move up to the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. For now, there'll be a Michelin Pilot Challenge helping Stewart's continued development as a driver who is also a member of the Porsche Mobile One female driver program. Stewart has mostly driven Porsches throughout her career and spent the last 2 years competing in Porsche Carrera Cup North America. The 25-year-old from New Zealand said this partnership is a major step forward in her career and believes it allows her to build momentum with the team since there's a clear intent to work together long-term. Photo courtesy of Porsche Motorsport. Big Machine Racing signed Patrick Staropoli for the upcoming NASCAR Raleigh Auto Parts Series season. Staropoli, who is a doctor and retina surgeon, will drive the number 48 Chevrolet full-time, replacing Nick Sanchez. With sponsorship from SYFOVRE, Staropoli finally gets his long-awaited opportunity to compete full-time at this level after winning the 2013 Peak Stock Car Dream Challenge to become a development driver for Michael Walter Racing after defeating current Cup Series driver Chase Briscoe. Back then, last year, Staropoli ran select races across ARCA, Trucks, and O'Reilly. Staropoli said it's been a life goal to compete at the sport's top level, admitted that his path there has taken many unexpected turns, but he realizes how big this opportunity is to compete in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series after 23 years of hard work. Photo courtesy of Big Machine Racing. Late model team Hettinger Racing will step up to the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series full-time this year. The team will fill the number 5 Ford Mustang. With Joe Williams serving as crew chief, they'll receive technical support from Ford and run Roush's engine, joining Team SPS Racing as his second flagship team representing the Blue Oval in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. Hettinger has already purchased owner points from last year's Koch family racing entry to guarantee them a spot in the field for the season opener next month at Daytona. Team owner Chris Hettinger said the series has incredible momentum because it features great racing, and the series gets a lot of exposure through its coverage on the CW. Graphic courtesy of Hettinger Racing. Verstappen Racing will return to GT World Challenge Europe this year, switching to the Mercedes-AMG GT3 car. The team, owned by 4-time Formula One world champion Max Verstappen, agreed to a multi-year deal with Mercedes-AMG Motorsport. Chris Lullum will return to the team and have a new co-driver with Danny Hunkadea joining the lineup for the Sprint Cup rounds. For the Endurance Cup, Lullum and Hunkadea will have Jules Gounon in the car with them. Lullum said it's really exciting to continue racing in this championship after learning so much in his first year of GT3 racing in 2025. Photo courtesy of GT World Challenge Europe. And after the sellout Rockingham Speedway was announced last summer, the International Hot Rod Association has officially purchased the track. IHRA wants to commit to preserving motorsports heritage by reinvesting in legendary racing properties. They intend to restore the rock to its former glory by upgrading the facility, expanding fan amenities, and adding entertainment like concerts and festival-style experiences alongside its racing events throughout the year. Daryl Cattell, owner of IHRA, said they recognize what this track means to motorsports fans across the world and the locals in Rockingham, North Carolina. So their goal is to be good stewards of the facility, respect its history, and work to bring quality racing and entertainment back to the Rock. Graphic courtesy of the International Hot Rod Association. The Cadillac Formula One team signed Zhou Guanyu as its reserve driver for the 2026 Formula One season. Joe joins a lineup that includes the team's 2 F1 drivers, Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez, plus test and development driver Colton Herta. The Chinese driver hasn't competed in F1 since 2014, but brings experience of 68 Grand Prix starts to a brand new team to the F1 grid. Cadillac's decision to sign Joe makes sense given his role last year as a reserve and test driver for Ferrari, which will supply Cadillac's power unit and gearbox in the American manufacturer's debut season in the pinnacle of motorsport. Team principal Graham Loudon said Joe fit exactly what they were looking for as a reserve driver, someone with recent F1 experience who is prepared to work hard and understands the challenge of developing a car throughout the season. Graphic courtesy of Cadillac F1. Seven-time NASCAR Cup Series champion Jimmie Johnson previously announced that he was entering the Daytona 500 next month, but now we know that Jimmie Johnson will indeed start the Daytona 500, I believe, for the 23rd time, as he was granted a special provisional to lock himself into the field. Yeah, so Jimmie Johnson, he was granted the open exemption provisional, which was utilized by, IndyCar legend Helio Castroneves last year when Trackhouse ran him in the Great American Race. So because of this, Jimmie Johnson will be the 45th. I mean, he'll be the 41st driver on the grid for this race. And when you look at some of the rule changes that they made last year when Helio Castroneves got the OEP, if he made the field on time, the field would have been capped at 40. But if he did not qualify, then they would, add a car to the grid. It would be 41. Yeah, so but for this year, if you get approval, you're automatically the 41st entry, so you don't have to worry about not trying to race your way in or anything like that. And because Jimmie has the provisional, he'll be eligible for the race win, the trophy, and all-star race eligibility. But Jimmie will not be able to receive any championship points or prize money for the event. In the event that Helio had made the race and on time last year, that Trackhouse entry would have been eligible, for points and prize money, but he ultimately, failed to qualify, so he needed to fall back on that provisional. And in the graphic you see on your screen, courtesy of Legacy Motor Club. And also got some news from Toyota as they officially unveiled their challenger for this season's in the FIA World Endurance Championship. The name of their new hybrid car is going to be called the TR010 Hybrid. And as you can see, compared to what they've been using, it's quite a difference. It basically, brought out a brand new car for Toyota. As you can see, the bodywork is quite a departure from what they've been used to. And the team is actually no longer going to be called Toyota Gazoo Racing. They're dropping the Gazoo part, and they're simply going to be known as Toyota Racing moving forward. And given how much Toyota struggled in the hypercar class in the World Endurance Championship this past season, it'll be interesting to see if a brand new car will help them go back to where they used to be, at the front of the grid of the hypercar field. Graphic courtesy of Toyota Racing. And that's all of the stories I have for tonight. So I'm going to throw over to Matt for everyone's favorite game. Pick a winner.
Indeed, it's back for 2026. Quickly before we get to it, pick up on a mistake that I made when I said Ollie Caldwell was the grid EPI champion in 2025. Of course, it was Ollie Gray. Too many Ollies in the world. Back to pick a winner, and you can get involved, as always, using the hashtag pick a winner right here in the YouTube chat or on whatever social media platform you choose. You can guess who wins the race, and you can comment on air or the social media post, as I said, using the hashtag pick a winner. The race picks are locked in at the time of the race start. So you need to make sure you get your pick in before the start. You can't lob in on lap 4 and see someone's 5 seconds up the road at the beginning of the race or on any race and decide, yes, he's going to win, because that will not count. You get 1 point for a correct guess. You get 2 points for your first correct guess if you are outside the top 10. 3 points if you're outside the top 20, 4 points if you're outside the top 30. Give people that are outside the scoring, if you get one in, more of a chance. But as you can see by the leaderboard, it is pretty blank at the moment for 2026. One person is on it, should I say, and that is Alex, after correctly guessing Jake Dennis would win the Sao Paulo E-Prix before Christmas, which starts as a 2026 race for Pick a Winner, as it does for the grid ranking as well. Talking of Formula E, that is where we are going to go this week on the Pick a Winner picks, because they are in action at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City on Saturday. Do not forget, it is a Saturday race, as always, well, pretty much always, for Formula E, especially when it's a standalone. And don't forget, it'll be covered by Josh and the crew over at JBM. Give that a mention, as he is not here. So we're going to roll our first picks of the year in. And of course, as I mentioned, we've got a chance to change these before the green flag drops and the lights go out on Saturday. I am going to go with Pascal Wehrlein to win on Saturday in Mexico. Kobe, who are you going with?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Whenever Formula E goes to Mexico City, it seems like Pascal Wehrlein goes to a different level. It seems like he's the king of Mexico when it comes to Formula E. So he is extremely fast at this track. He's really, really good. So I'm looking for Pascal Wehrlein to go out there and get the win again. But as Matt says, a lot of this depends on qualifying. And Pascal, has a better qualifying session. I'll probably end up changing my pit before to drop it a green flag before throw it to Omega and answer a quick question from Jason here. This is in response to Patrick Star Poli's sponsor at Big Machine Racing in the Raleigh Auto Parts Series this year. While I don't know specifically what that is, I can tell you it's a type of eye injection. As Dr. Patrick Star Poli, he's a retina surgeon, and that's what he does. So it's a type of eye injection. That's the best I can say because I looked at I guess the scientific words related to this, and I'm not a doctor myself, so I'm not even going to try to explain to you what it is. The best thing I can tell you in layman's terms, it's a type of eye injection. All right, Omi, who you have for pick a winner?
Well, I'm also going with Pascal Wehrlein. How can you not?
Yeah, clean sweep.
He's just so good at Mexico. So I'm going to go for him as well. So yeah, I'm going to say that he's going to win. Of course, what will be Formula E's 150th celebration this weekend. The race on Saturday.
Tune in for that across social media then with pick a winner. Nick Cassidy is Jason's pick. We've all gone Pascal Wehrlein. So those guys, and Joe is also going to go with Pascal Wehrlein. So we've absolutely cursed Pascal, and we apologise for that well in advance. The DAC is back for Adam. He's going with Antonio Felix da Costa, Pascal's former teammate, of course. And as we said, you can get your picks in. Steve Phelps is gone, says Jack with the party emoji. So he's happy about our top story tonight. Get your Mexico E-Prix pick in for E-Prix number 150, as Omi said. On Saturday afternoon, Mexico time evening for us here in the UK, using the hashtag pick a winner. And as I said, you've got all the way up until lights out there to get your pick in, and you can get yourself locked in on the leaderboard alongside Alex, unless of course Alex picks and no one else does, and then he'll be on 2 points, leaving everybody else to shame. It went fairly close to the wire last year between Kobe, Matt B, and kind of myself, sort of dragging along in third place behind them. So hopefully we get a close game in Pick a Winner this year. I haven't got the number of races that are included in Pick a Winner this year off the top of my head, but I will have that for you. I'll make sure of it for next week's show. Right, normally we would do hots and nots to end the show. And as there's been plenty of not from all we've talked about through the winter break, and not much really to talk about in terms of stuff on the track, we're going to do a quick little segment of things we'd like to see in 2026. I'm going to start because the Toyota that Kobe prompted me to remember this, that Formula One cars in 2026 are not going to be black. And that is exciting because they've been told they're not allowed to be. So we're going to have colours back on a Grand Prix grid again.
Wow, how exciting! We're gonna have colours, really, really good. I'm hoping we're also going to have just some decent racing and just some entertaining racing. I'm hoping that's one of the things I'm hoping for. That we're gonna get. I mean, we can have a championship fight and all, but as 2025 proved, there was a lot of races which just weren't being fought for at all. So that would actually be a good change. So it would be perfect if we can have all the colors nice and good, and then racing that's all perfect as well. It would actually make this year quite enjoyable with the amount of races we have, 24, and then of course the sprints that are thrown in there at some interesting locations. But oh well.
Yes, indeed. So also things I'd like to see this year: less runaway champions. I'm looking at you, Mark Marquez, and I'm looking at you, Alex Palou. Give them a chance, will you? Please. We are going to get Nico Bulliger running away with World Superbike. That is an absolute guarantee, unless he hurts himself. But I'd like them to be, to your point, more close racing, but also like spread, so that we've got, because IndyCar just dropped off my rap entirely in 2025 because it was just a Palou show. And I'd like to have that back, please, as some sort of championship battle. That would be good. Thank you.
Well, I mean, I'm not really involved in this, but I see a lot of it on social media. All of the NASCAR fans to just take a chill pill. All I
Oh
see on my
goodness.
feed, all I see on my feed is everyone going at it, and I was like, oh, guys, we're getting into Christmas now. Come on, everyone, calm down. That's enough playoff and all sorts of discussions about that. So yes, let's all go into 2026 all peacefully, calmly, nicely.
As a pig, I've just seen a pig. You're absolutely wishing on a star, Omi, if you want NASCAR fans to behave on social media. That is probably my number one, if I'm honest, because the last couple of months of last year absolutely grated me to my core. Just a quick reminder that something we talked about towards the end of last year, and we're going to get it on the show next week. The episode 1 of Grid Tonight, Cali Rovanpera watch, because he is going to take his first steps into single-seater racing this weekend in New Zealand in the Castrol Toyota Racing Formula Regional Oceania Championship, whatever long-winded name that championship is, this weekend. So we'll give you an update on Cali Watch on the show next week. I don't think I've got anything else off the top of my head that I'd like to see that you haven't already mentioned. And as we're approaching bang on an hour, I think that's pretty much it for me, unless you've got something else you'd like to roll in.
Just give us good racing. Just give us good racing, I think, in this year.
Yeah.
And Adam wants
Less
to
tragedy
see
and more
Connor
good
Zilic win at
racing.
least 2 cup races. So there we go.
I think he's got a fair chance, Adam. I really do. Less tragedy and more good racing, please, for 26 from what we've had. And Matthew says, but Matt, a runaway champion is a pure. Well, indeed so. And a quick community notice before we go off the air. Once we have finished, leave your YouTube open and go to USN Sports Streams and subscribe, please, to the brand new Ultimate Sports Network channel. Thank you to YouTube for ruining our Christmas break. Kiska is banking on a Marc Marquez win again for Pick a Winner, says Joe. For those that don't know, is the Grid Network dog, and they get points for every Marc Marquez victory to bump themselves up on the Pick a Winner standings. Jason says 2026, I'd like to see an Indianapolis 500. Yes, I'm fully on board with that, Jason. An Indianapolis 500 win without a late caution, or yes, let's have a whole fuel run to the end of an Indy 500, please, without some kind of stoppage, because they've been something, haven't they, over the last couple of years, whatever way you choose to look at it.
I have a feeling this year though there might be a bit of trouble because they're going to push Canada back, aren't they? So I feel like something will happen, and it'll still find a way to clash. I feel like this year will happen because of the timing. So they've avoided it, but if the 500 gets delayed and we have some of that going on, then you'll find a way to clash again.
If we have a 30-40 minute sprinkling rain shower and delay at Indianapolis, then yes. I'd just like to see a clean Indy 500 broadcast from Fox. I'd like to see any Indianapolis broadcast be clean from Fox, Indy car broadcast be clean from Fox, Mr. Owens, frankly. Less said about that, the better, but I'm sure we'll talk about it throughout the year.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
I think it is. I think we're going to hand back to Kobe, who's going to take us home pretty much bang on an hour for the first Grid Tonight of 2026. Thank you, Omi, for stepping in as you have done fairly recently over the last few shows of this show. And Kobe's going to take us home.
Yeah, and taking a look at our upcoming schedules, Sunday Grid Live wrap up. That's going to be at noon Eastern time. Believe it'll be me and Joe Samniego recapping Formula E's Mexico City Prix from Autodrama Hermanos Rodriguez. And please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've now passed 1,700 subscribers, and help us reach our next milestone of 2,000 subscribers. If we're able to do that by the end of this year, that would be absolutely spectacular. So if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button to subscribe, and tell your friends to subscribe to us as well, so we can finally get to 2,000. I hope we can do that before this year's Indianapolis 500. And hit the bell icon to get the notification, so you'll always know whenever we go on the air. And follow all of our social media platforms. And visit gridnetworktv.com. And you can take 5 minutes to invest in Grid Network through Patreon. Join Colin, Mark, Deshelle, Robin, David, Matthew, Crystal. And to our surprise, we got a new Patreon supporter. Welcome aboard, Nico. We're really happy you're joining us, Nico. Everyone who invests in in the Grit Network each and every month. They're so really happy that you're now one of our Patreon supporters. We encourage you all watching to join this great group of people who keep us on the air all year long. And once we hit $500 per month, we can afford to send our team to the track more often and continue growing our media outlet. Link in the video description below. And if you want to make a one-time donation, click on the Buy Me a Coffee link, get your name on the board, invest as much as you want to, consider buying your favorite on-air personality a cup of coffee, and they'll thank you right here on the air. For Omi from JB Motorsports and Matt White from Grid Endurance Performance Analytics, I'm Kobe Lambert. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time here on Grid Network. Our first show of the year 2026 is in the books. Have a great night, everyone.